beauty and perfection of God. Exquisite light of the universe in this moment and the continuum of this moment, the willingness to surrender all the beliefs of the past that have affirmed separation, the life itself that said, I came in separate, I believe in separation, and I die still separate in the belief of aloneness. And while in this identity of separation, the constant trying to prove, trying to win, trying to be right. And every time there seems to be progress made, always coming back to the same place. And having within your heart the willingness to recognize in every moment that only love exists and there is nothing to prove, nothing to win, nothing to protect, nothing to defend. Within this choosing is all peace, all beauty, all harmony. This is a journey of love. It is the search for love that will be found, guaranteed to be found, guaranteed by the truth of love, and guaranteed because you are the light of God. And the entire journey is just returning to this truth. Returning through willingness and the relinquishment of the belief of battle, opening to the gentleness of the heart within, and refusing any longer to believe in being defended in any way. Surrendering the relationship to nightmares that have plagued all incarnations, and to simply rest in the beauty and harmony of love's peace that truly exists right here, right now, as the mind is surrendered. And this becomes the focus of the journey of love, to surrender the mind of separation, to surrender all the beliefs that have been made up in the name of being a temporary, self-important identity. All of the magnificence that is truly real is the ordinary magnificence that you are in the heart. To accept reality is to rest in God and to open to the divine miracles of love's healing. willing to be in the sidecar and let God drive, willing that you don't know the way, but the wisdom and perfection of all life will not lead you astray, but will carry you with your willingness into heaven, a place of peace, place of harmony, the only place that truly exists, and that is here right now. The divine self that you have always been is here to be discovered as you surrender the made-up identity of battle, the made-up identity of winning, proving, the made-up identity that believes in death, that believes in struggle, and that believes that it can be unfairly treated, and that vengeance is reality. All of these untruths are called to be surrendered into the hands of God, into the Spirit of Love's heart. Come empty, letting the lies drop away, and all the fears that have been used to protect and defend, let them disappear. Do not have any more allegiance to the belief in fear. No longer willing to live in a place of arrogance, of being right, of being minimal, and truly surrendering the belief in scarcity. Opening to the awareness that the belief in scarcity merely says there is never enough and I must fight to get enough. But when you open the door to God's love and the truth of love, you open to the true abundance, that nothing can ever be missing, for the holy child of love is complete and is the reflection of God's light. Acceptance and trust is the key of the journey of love. Moment to moment. Only love is real. And in this moment, finding the willingness within to surrender simply and humbly, surrendering this day, willing to have illuminated all of the misperceptions that have screamed at you today of being right, the belief of being in control, and truly surrendering the belief in time. That one moment of divine truth has no equal that all of the illusions of time, of 1,000,000 years, has no parallel with one moment of truth. The illusion of 1,000,000 years is worth nothing and has accomplished nothing but one moment of truth. Lights the universe for eternity. The truth, love, light, peace, harmony is your choice in every moment. Surrender this day to be cleansed of all thoughts that have entered of knowing. The idea of knowing something about something for something, all surrendered. Surrendering this day and putting the future into the hands of God, and no longer willing to have the future repeat the past with knowing. The willingness in this moment to revel, reveling in the perfection of not knowing, of opening to the divine wisdom of the Holy Spirit, the divine wisdom of the light of God, and willing to be led, guided, and taught in this divine schoolroom of love's healing. Breathing in this moment allows your heart to remember. Breathing fully and deeply with no expectation or results that are always the home of a false self. As you breathe in joyous gratitude that the world that you thought you knew was being called to just be laid down, surrendered. And all the roles, all the identities, all the forms that have been made in the belief of separation, now surrendered, joyfully surrendered, gratefully surrendered, that love's healing could be so powerful and such an ease within the yes. Willing to be led as you surrender the belief in the body and the identity as a body, surrendering the belief of death, which the body proclaims as real. The surrender of all beliefs of pain and suffering, which the body proclaims to be real. Surrendering the mind that proclaims the body to be real. Surrendering the mind into the hands of God. Returning the mind to be used only for love. The mind of God no longer split into a battleground through fear, but now gratefully, gladly, joyfully surrendered. And the willingness that everyone is here to remember, and that the way of remembering comes through the willingness to be truly helpful, to truly serve love's calling, to be the servant of love, to learn of that servant and that service, that the divine servant of love has no needs, in this world to be acknowledged, fortified, recognized, surrendering into the hands of God all of the longing of the past to be made into something with importance, but instead to recognize that all blessings come from the holy union of love, being in that divine union of one heart, serving all love in the divine equality of holy union, and surrendering the heart to burst open in recognition of one love. The willingness to accept the power of love's healing that is always present and available through the yes of your choice. Yes, I choose to remember love. Yes, I choose to surrender. Yes, I put my faith and trust and walk in peace because I trust that God walks with me, that I never am on my own, that there is no aloneness in the world of love. There is only harmony and joy. So astonishing that it cannot be even conceptualized in a world of separation, but can be accepted and trusted and followed. One heart, with the divine intention of that holy union to affirm that here in the infinite circle of love we are one. This is not wishful thinking. In the holy union of love we are one. That is what actually exists. The rest is a fabrication, a nightmare, an untruth. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And within this life force, we are called to move and breathe and live in the holy union of God. The sanctuary is filled with love because love is all that exists. There is nothing else to focus on except illusion. And that illusion cannot serve love, can only serve the past and the belief of separation. This universe is all love. Everything else is fabricated. All beliefs of forms, temporariness, difficulties, levels, degrees, differences, all thoughts that have been brought through the past and made in separation have no reality and no relevance. Only distraction. Only the old familiar relationship with pain and suffering. Now is the moment for love to shine, to remember the truth of love in its entirety, and to allow the miracle of love to transform the willing mind into healing, surrendering all beliefs that come from the mind into the hands of God, surrendering everything that you thought you knew into the hands of love, and invoking the power of healing, calling that life force of love to transform everything of separation, as the heart says yes. Allow this prayer to take your very existence, through your yes, through your willingness for the power of this divine love's calling to be invited in as a transforming agent of all the false beliefs that are still held in the everyday life of believing in separation. Oh, my Father, give me strength, give me courage on this road, to be a child of yours on earth and walk the path the Masters showed. Oh, my Mother, help me love, give me comfort to be aware. To obey these sacred teachings, it was your Son who showed the way. O my Master, your compassion can see through this pain, for it was you who came to earth to release us from these chains. O my Father, I am yours, give me comfort to be aware. Send your angels here to guide me on this sacred path of the sun. O my Father and my Mother who rule the world of love, send your angels to receive me through the gateway of pure love. We ask for strength, and strength is given. We ask for clarity, and clarity is given. We ask for the courage to be held in the truth of love and to refuse to accept the lies of the past. And that courage appears in the middle of the heart, and it takes your separate will and will transform that separate will into the will of love itself. All through your willingness, all through your asking, all through your invocation of the call to the truth of love, to recognizing where the power of love truly exists, and the relinquishment moment to moment of believing in your own mind and believing in your own habits, but having the courage and wanting the strength to truly surrender. I must love. I must love with all of my heart. The Blessed Mother is the one who has called me to remember this love, to truly come home, to truly surrender, to learn to love God in all ways that God manifests, in every beloved, recognizing the truth of God that before may have been hidden, but now is coming clear, and the willingness to see the truth of God in every beloved. Oh, my Blessed Mother, my Divine Mother, you hold us in the truth of forgiveness, to forgive all beliefs of the past and all enemies that have been made in the name of separation. The willingness to remember that we are here to learn to love, allowing the divine schoolroom of love to be the center of our existence. The willingness to open to the divine correction of the Spirit of love's calling. My Divine Father, Creator of love, we say yes to forgiveness, and we forgive all the mistaken identities that have been made up in the mind. And we're here to remember to love with our whole heart, with every fiber of being, and to remember the truth of love that is waiting to be discovered within. Eu devo amar no coração a Virgem Mãe, foi que me Deus para eu amar ao Senhor Deus. Ó Virgem Mãe, Divina Mãe, vós nos perdoe os filhos seus, para nos amar ao Senhor Deus. Divino Pai, Rei Criador, vós nos perdoe, nos pecadores, para nos amar com grande amor. There is a deep resistance in the knowing of the little self that finds it incredulous that there would be nothing of worth in what is being made up of the mind on its own. To accept the true surrender into the love of God, and to realize that when you return to the love of God, there is no need for guilt. There is no need for even an apology. For God has no use for things that have been made up in the belief of separation. As you return home to the awareness of love through your willingness, all that occurs is that the arms of love are wrapped around you, and then you realize, I never left. I just walked in a dream for a while, in the belief of time, but nothing actually occurred. Nothing changed at all. Love stayed exactly the same, waiting for me to remember and to come back to the truth, which has always been. And the illusion of separation disappears, as if, and in truth, it never was. The past disappears, and only the present which is where all love exists, where love is, where truth is, where life is. And in this divine, perfect now, love is. Appear an easy mark at first. The less friction you make as you move through this world, the more power you gather and can store. Fire will take an interest in you and think you are the heir to light. Lightning will start to ride in your purse. When could you then feel cold? What divine food could you not prepare or supply for any? It is better like this sometimes. Most everyone starts thinking you are an easy mark, while in truth you are just biding your time, waiting for the optimum moment to strike a lethal blow and make a real difference. But for that you need forbearance. What lasting good has ever been rushed? When you finally speak up or act with passion, you will help tear down some walls of tyranny. Patience is a calling that has no connection with the world that has been made in the belief of time. But patience truly is trust. The trust in love, the trust in God. The less friction you make as you move through this world, the more power you will gather and store. Because there is no friction, there is no upset, there is no disturbance in love. Harmony isn't aware of friction at all, because there is no disturbance. When you believe in friction, you believe that something is an opposite. You believe in something that opposes something else. And this can only come from the made-up mind that made the belief in battle to begin with. But not only are you not serving anything of truth in friction, but you're not gathering power, because everything is being depleted in the belief of weakness, in the belief of lack, in the belief of separation. You gather power as you say yes to union. You gather power as you move easily and effortlessly with the divine intention of being most truly helpful, moment to moment. But to be truly helpful is to recognize that you don't know how to be truly helpful, or what being truly helpful truly is. And for that, to learn to be truly helpful is to join with the divine spirit of love and letting that divine guidance open the doorway, the schoolroom of learning to be truly helpful. the ego has such a distinctive perception. It's not knowledge, it's just an idea. That it knows exactly what everybody else should be doing, how they should be doing it, and what they should be doing. And in that alliance, friction is always there. Because no one cooperates. Because insanity cannot bring cooperation. The idea that you think you know what somebody else should do or how they should be or what their journey should look like is always a place of friction. And it's always a place of disappointment. It's a guaranteed disappointment. Guaranteed. Guaranteed because no one and nothing will ever cooperate. It's impossible. The relationship of egos is to battle. So no matter what you try to conjure up about knowing how somebody else's life should look or what is most helpful for them or for you, every time you try, there is always the disappointment. Now, the ego isn't completely without strategies, of course. So every once in a while, the ego throws you a bone, a biscuit, and you grab the biscuit and you think, finally I'm getting somewhere. Finally, somebody's listening to me. Finally, I'm getting what I want, what I think I know it should be right. Except it only gives you a little high and then goes right back to being unsuccessful, unsatisfying, except that it gave you just enough arrogance in that knowing that you thought you actually knew something. All day long, when the ego has its way, it makes up solutions, strategies, plans, ideas that say, all right, I'm getting a handle on this. I think I know now exactly what things should look like and how they should be. But what's really running that planning, those conclusions, is fear. That's all that's running. That's all that can run, is fear. But does fear show itself obviously? No. Then you would see what it was. And you want to believe in the friction. You want to believe that you're making progress by outrunning someone, by having ideas about how things should be or how things should look or what they mean. But there's no healing there. There's no love there. There's no truth there. And love is calling you to become frictionless. How do you become frictionless? Except through surrender. By following. By allowing. By letting the spirit of love show you the way, which it so gladly does. Every moment, the power of love will lead the way. But you have to stop and listen and ask. The arrogance of the ego doesn't like asking. It likes being asked. It likes being asked, like in a restaurant, is there anything else I can do for you? It wants the power of being in charge. At the same time, it's terrified because now the responsibility of doing things right is, the ante is upped. This is all the insanity that runs. The worry, the fear. It's like being a king with subjects and believing that you're in charge. And even though you would say, no, I'm a victim of the world, there is the mind running itself saying, I know what everybody needs and I know how they should behave, and I certainly know how they should behave around me because I'm the one with all the reactions that knows the right and wrong of everything. But while that's all going on, there is no relationship with being truly helpful, learning to serve the truth of love and to bring peace, which has no friction in it, into every situation, and stepping back and really letting love lead. No one's turning to anyone else saying, tell me what to do, show me the way, but instead, everyone is saying the same prayer. Holy Spirit, help us. Help me to learn the way of love. Guide me so that I can truly become frictionless and serve the power of love. I can rest as I let the Holy Spirit guide and lead. Truly rest. When you are without friction, lightning does start slipping into your pocket. Because when you are without friction, when you are accepting, when you are trusting and confident that love will lead you, your oneness with the universe becomes more and more apparent to you. You're not separate from lightning. You're not separate from the rain. You're not separate from the sun rising. You're not separate from the moon rising. You're not separate from any flower. You're not separate from the mud. You're not separate from anything. Because within everything, these are all forms, but through the form is the divine frictionless essence of God. That is who everyone is. Everyone is the light of God. Nothing else is true at all. Why would you want to see something else in anyone? When the gift of creation is in seeing the divine through the heart. That is the gift. You want to see the light of God in everyone because that's heaven. That's heaven. To no longer be disturbed by images that you've made of everyone is heaven. To see the light that every beloved truly is and let them return to the wholeness of oneness. because you refuse to give them separate meanings anymore, separate identities, separate places in your roll call of identities. That you're no longer willing to give one more accolades than another, or condemnations. That you're not trying to find their talents. Mm-hmm. You're not trying to find their gifts, but to accept them wholly and fully, that there is nothing for them to do or to become at all, ever. They are the light of God for all eternity, always have been. And there is no separation. Every time you give someone a separate identity, you proclaim, I deem you to be separate. And in my clarification that you are separate, I affirm I am separate. That is the friction that's being used in the belief of separation. And to truly want all healing to be manifested in the moment, to call on the power of love, to truly want the power of love to transform your mind and return to love. Most everyone starts thinking that you're an easy mark because there's no friction around you. What is an easy mark? Be an easy mark for love. There's nothing for them to take from you. There's no way to be betrayed. There's no being unfairly treated. The only possibility of being unfairly treated is your own friction, your own belief of separation in what you make of your world. Every time that you believe that you have been unfairly treated is a call. It's a power call of the divine to say, hey, you believe you can be unfairly treated, but that is only coming from your own mind. It isn't coming from any place else. It's your reflection. And that's where the healing is. If you find yourself believing that you can be unfairly treated at all, ever, not just moment to moment, but in the whole identity of past. When you hold the past in the agreement that you have been unfairly treated, you are declaring your own condemnation. That's all that's occurring, is that you are declaring your own self-identified condemnation, that you can't then be the light of God. Because the light of God it's not possible for the light of God to be unfairly treated. By what? Nothing else exists to accept that only the light of God actually exists. That everything is love. Has to eliminate that you can be unfairly treated. It's not possible. Do you believe you've treated yourself unfairly? Yes. Do you believe that you've seen others treating others unfairly? Yes, you've believed that. You've believed in the concept of being unfairly treated. you've made a story out of being unfairly treated. It's the greatest temptation. It is so seductive in its relationship. And there's always evidence that can be made. Always. Because as you believe that you are unfairly treated, you will see yourself as unfairly treated. There is nothing that is true there. But to accept that is such a place of humility, because the ego's determination to be right is so all-encompassing to the mind who believes that its thoughts are valid. But what is there to lose by relinquishing the belief that you can be unfairly treated? What do you believe that there is to lose? A defense system that's worked really well? A defense system that's brought you to joy and peace and harmony? To really challenge, not by battling, but illumination. Asking the Holy Spirit to illuminate the concept of being unfairly treated. Because it's the ruler of illusion. It's a necessary concept of separation. But to surrender being unfairly treated to accept that you would love to be an easy mark. An easy mark. Because love is an easy mark. Love doesn't battle. Love gives completely freely. Never looking for what's the payoff here, what am I going to get from this, keeping score, keeping ideas. That's where unfairly treated lives, is in keeping score, in keeping ideas of what that even is. But love, being an easy mark, it's a place of joy. To invite every beloved to see you as an easy mark is freedom. Because no one can take advantage of you. That would be like saying someone can take advantage of God. I'm going to manipulate God. I'm going to use the system and I'm going to get everything that I want. God is an easy mark. The easiest mark. Because there is no resistance in love. There is no resistance in God. Give it all. Don't dole love out like payment, like an allowance. Give it all. Love without conditions. Everyone equally. Not based on performance. Love is not a corporation that pays off its shareholders with success and with failures. There's no failure in love. There's no success in love. Love is. Love is everything. Love has no restrictions. It must be given completely freely. If you see yourself as a victim of the world, and a victim, you're going to be believing that you can be unfairly treated. Be an easy mark. Give freely. No worries. But all the rules and all of the ledgers that you've made of staying separate and staying protected all have to be surrendered and relinquished. Allowing. There's a teaching. Do you believe in what you know? That is a question to ask within. Do you believe in what you know? Do you put your faith and trust in what you know? More than likely the answer is yes. You may not consciously put your faith and your beliefs in what you know, but all day long when you're coming up with conclusions and ideas of what you think you know, you're putting your faith and your belief in what you know. If everything you think you've made with talents and ambitions, and even the personality self, were made in arrogance, do you believe you can decide what's truly helpful? You can't be on two sides of the coin. But if you believe that your talents and your ambitions and your personality have made something that has worth, then you have to believe in arrogance. Because it has nothing to do with love. It only has to do with something self-made, something conjured up, an idea. When you make something with arrogance, you see separation. You see a wanting of a payoff. And you want ownership of what you made. You want it to be recognized. You want your name on it instead of glory of God. The divine creation of God. Nothing personal. No self-importance to be recognized in any way. And in that belief of arrogance, do you believe that you can decide what's truly helpful? That becomes the question within that is essential for everyone to recognize that I don't know what's truly helpful. Show me what is most helpful in every moment. Show me how to look on everything. I don't know how to look on anything. I'm wanting, in that prayer, there's a wanting to be dismantled. There's a wanting to be no longer self-contained, no longer self-motivated, self-agreed. How do you know what's truly helpful? If your ego mind is devoted to arrogance, how do you know what is truly helpful? If you are using your mind, your ego mind, and in that ego mind, everything is devoted to arrogance. And what is arrogance? Arrogance is, I know. Arrogance is, I'm the maker. I'm the decider. But there's no peace there. There's no love there. There's no harmony. When true humbleness dawns, you can no longer tolerate doing or speaking anything unless it is obviously coming from alignment with the Holy Spirit. That's what humility brings. The humility of, I don't have a clue. To the ego identity, I don't have a clue is saying, I'm worthless. I am worthless. And in truth, the little I is worthless. That arrogance, instead of humility, is what is the friction. Humility has no friction. Humility has nothing to prove. The humility says, I accept that I am the creation of God. I accept that the power of God is the power of the universe, and that power of the universe is the truth within me, but is not of me. It's not self-made. It's not made out of worth that's been manufactured. It's not coming from a talent. It's not coming from a gift. It's not coming from an IQ. It's not coming from an inheritance of some kind within this form. That the humility is actually the acceptance of your divine light. To deny your divine light, to deny your exquisite union with all creation, your one heart, that is arrogance. To deny the light of creation that you are, to deny that God is your soul, is arrogant. Humility says, I am the child of God. I am the light of the world. Not as a separate self, not as an individual, but as the I am, the oneness, with all creation in total equality. It is only the Spirit's use of words and deeds that are truly helpful. The Spirit's use of words and deeds, to allow those words and deeds to come through the body identity, to let the body be used by the Holy Spirit, to truly surrender the relationship with the body to the Holy Spirit, so that it can be used to convey love, so that the Holy Spirit can use the apparatus, the temporary apparatus, for love's use to be truly helpful. And the most beautiful occurrence presents itself when you surrender it all to the Holy Spirit to be used for love, when you let the words and deeds be of the Holy Spirit and not your own making. It breaks open the heart, and joy and peace become recognized. It becomes the healing of love. And all the fear falls away because you're no longer on your own. And you recognize it. And you no longer want to be on your own. There's nothing in you that is demanding to be recognized. Nothing to be prove your worth, to get something. God, so much pain in wanting to get. So much pain in wanting to prove. It's excruciating. When you look at your life and you compare and you identify with accomplishment in your life or lack of accomplishment in your life, there's no love there. There is no accomplishment in this life. The only purpose of incarnation is to remember who you truly are. What you have always been, the light of God. That can never be changed, it can never be diminished. And it's just that humility of acceptance, the true humility. In order to use the words through this vehicle and the deeds, the Spirit must be given everything of yourself. The Spirit must be given everything of yourself. It is the complete surrender to allow the words of love, the deeds of love, to manifest through the body identity. To surrender everything of yourself. Yourself. What you have made of a self is surrendered. Make me an instrument of thy peace. As I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument humble and free. As I awaken to the living truth of me. Giving everything over to the Holy Spirit to be used for love. And this is very humbling because there's no battle anymore in proving your worth. There's no battle anymore in having that insatiable addiction to proving your worth. And make no mistake, it's an insatiable addiction. It will never be satiated. It will never finally come to a resting place of it's finally enough. It's never enough in the world of the belief of proving your worth. The hatred of the ego, the hatred that is in the ego will always find another condemnation when you try to prove your worth through a hate system where there is no love. But the way of love calls you all to the humbling of love's calling. Your true helpfulness is in the Spirit's control. Make me an instrument of thy peace. As I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument completely free as I awaken to the living light within. When you ask to be the instrument of love, your prayer is always heard. Always heard. You are never not heard, and you are never not answered. But you have to participate. It isn't magic. It's your participation and surrendering the mind that you made, surrendering it into the hands of God and no longer being willing to use it as a weapon of defense and strategies, but willing for the mind of God, the heart of God, to be completely in charge. Accept the will of God in true humility, and all you think you made will disappear. Does that sound simple enough? It is. Accept the will of God in true humility. Not sometimes, but thy will be done. And I don't know what that is. Show me. Show me what's truly helpful. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because love is directing me. What I say and do, I want it to be the light of God. I don't want to be in charge. I want this I to disappear and open to the I am of all living life. One heart. Accept the will of God in true humility, and all you think you made will disappear. The willingness to let the light shine through. And love will take the place of the self-deception that I made. Affirming that truth within you, that love will take the place. Love will come forth and be recognized. And all that I made in the name of separation will disappear. And all the self-deception will disappear. It's the glory of healing. It's the glory of the power of God's transformation. That isn't for you to figure out, just surrendering. With true humility, I don't know the way. I don't know the way. Don't be terrified by not knowing the way. You never knew the way to begin with. It's just finally you're just realizing it. And it's a glorious day to realize I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything. I made up a whole illusion of battle and separation. Thank God I wasn't right. Let your heart be filled with joy at not being right, instead of determined to be right. It's a glorious place of healing. It's a glorious place of returning home to accept, thank God I wasn't right. Thank God I was mistaken. And thank God there's a power of the universe that is all love, is all perfection, and is all eternal. And I never have to worry again about what to say or what to do, because love will direct me, because I'm willing, because I want to be directed by love's calling. And I don't want to tell anyone else ever again what to do or what I think I know about them, but to trust the unfolding of every moment that everything is in the hands of God and there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. There is no separate life to battle with. There is just the willingness to be led. I will follow, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. In the call of humility, I accept the hand of God in the journey of love. We lay aside the arrogance which proclaims that we are damaged. We lay aside the arrogance that proclaims that we are guilty, afraid. And we lift our hearts in true humility, in surrender to our immaculate true selves. There is nothing in the truth of God that wants you to grovel for love, that wants you to have to beg for mercy. But it is a place of humility, of accepting. I don't know anything because my past was not the truth of love. I made up a past that said battle lives here, fear lives here, scarcity lives here. But now it's the call to open to the true light that you truly are and rest there. In the truth of love, there is no energy to try to prove anything. There's no energy to win, save, protect, defend, be right. Everybody's familiar with that energy. It's not the energy of love. It's not the energy of peace and harmony and joy. It's the energy of battle. It's the energy of separation, which is always painful. But it doesn't really exist. You're just believing in something that really doesn't exist. It's not a battle. There's nothing to win. You already are everything that is love, everything that is perfection, everything that is holy, everything that is eternal. You are. Every star that has ever appeared in the sky, you are. You are the brightness of the sun. You are the grace of the moon. You are the depth of the sea. You are the light of all life. Don't separate yourself into thinking that you know something that is better, more. It's all made up. Surrendering it all. And just letting go of the friction. Recognizing, wanting to recognize the friction for what it is. That it's not love. And how simple is that? Am I experiencing peace in this moment? Am I experiencing harmony? Is this a thought of harmony, a thought of peace? Is this energy of peace and harmony? If not, I'm making something up. It's not of God. It's completely made up. And I humbly surrender it and begin again. Begin again without retribution, without punishment, but with true forgiveness. I forgot. I forgive myself for the mistaken identities I've made and given to everyone and everything. And I forgive myself for the mistaken identity that I've held this beloved in. Let me accept the light and be in the one heart with God, where I truly belong. The ease of love. No friction. No disturbance. No upsets. No problem. Only love. Right now, right here. And then even the journey disappears. Because there never really was a journey. The journey was just because you thought you knew something. And you believed in time. But whenever beloved wakes up to the truth, there's always this one remembering, which is, oh, there was nothing to do. Nothing happened. And you come back, circling in to the truth of, it really was a journey without distance to a place you never left. And that acknowledgement, oh, this is all that was all the time. The rest was just a dream, a bad nightmare that was made up in the name of hatred. Thank God. Wasn't true.